Imagine walking into a Maserati showroom in 2027. It is quiet, not silent because of the lack of engines, but quiet in that expensive way Italian luxury boutiques are quiet. The floor is polished black marble. There's a faint smell of leather and espresso, and right in the middle under a single spotlight sits a car that shouldn't exist, or at least that people said would never work. This is a 2027 Maserati Quattroporte EV, the Folgore, and it might just be the most important Maserati in the last 20 years. To understand why this car matters so much, you have to understand what Quattroporte means. Since 1963, this name has been Maserati's promise. 4 doors, 4 seats, and the heart of a supercar. It was a car for the man who had a Ferrari in the garage but needed to take his family to the opera. It was never the best-selling Maserati, but it was always the most respected. And for the last decade, Maserati has been struggling. They tried SUVs. They tried to bring back the Ghibli, but they lost a little bit of that magic. The Quattroporte Folgore is their answer. It is Maserati saying, we are not going to become just another luxury EV brand. We are going to make an EV that only Maserati could make. So let's really look at it, because the photos do not do it justice. The team in Modena, led by Klaus Bussi, started from scratch. This is not a converted petrol Quattroporte. It sits on the new STLA large platform, an 800-volt dedicated electric architecture that Maserati shares with no other saloon, that allowed them to push the wheels all the way out, to make the overhangs tiny, and to keep that classic long bonnet proportion that every Quattroporte needs. From the front, it is unmistakably Maserati, but evolved. The grille is still there, that big, proud mouth, but it is now a closed Aero panel with a 3D texture inspired by the movement of water. The trident in the middle is no longer just a badge. It is illuminated, floating, and it glows white when you approach the car, then pulses blue when it is charging. Above it, there's a full-width LED light bar that connects the 2 headlights, a detail Maserati calls a light of Folgore, which means lightning in Italian. The headlights themselves are so thin, they are almost invisible until they turn on. Full adaptive LED with laser-high beams that can see 600 meters ahead. Move to the side, and you see how they solve the biggest problem of electric saloons, which is that they all look like a bar of soap. The Quattroporte Folgore has a real shoulder, a deep crease that runs from the front fender all the way to the rear door, and the famous 3 side vents on the front fender are still there. But now they are active Aero. They open and close to cool the brakes and the battery. The door handles are flush. They pop out when you get close with your key. The roofline is a perfect fastback. It drops down into the trunk like a Gran Turismo. But Maserati's engineers spent months in the wind tunnel to make sure a person who is 6 feet tall can still sit comfortably in the back. And the wheels. You have to talk about the wheels. 21 inches standard, 22 inches optional, with an Aero blade design that reduces drag but still shows off those massive Brembo brakes with blue calipers that say Folgore on them. At the back, this is where you realize Maserati is not apologizing for being electric. No fake exhausts. No trying to pretend. The rear end is wide, muscular, with hips that stick out over the rear wheels like a classic Italian sports car. The tail lights are full-width boomerang, inspired by the 3200 GT from the 90s, but now full LED with a 3D effect that looks like tridents when they light up at night. The Maserati script is written across the trunk lid, and underneath it, just a small, tasteful Folgore badge with a lightning bolt. The diffuser at the bottom is huge, functional. It actually creates downforce at high speeds, because this car can go over 300 kilometers per hour. Now, open that heavy, soft closing door, and you forget you are in an EV. Maserati could have gone minimal like Tesla, 1 big screen, nothing else. They did the opposite. This is maximalist Italian luxury. Everything you touch is real. The leather is Pieno Fiore, the most expensive natural leather Maserati uses. It is tanned with natural oils. It feels like a leather jacket that costs more than your first car. The wood is real open-pore matte walnut that comes from a single forest in northern Italy, and the aluminum trim is real aluminum, cold to the touch, brushed by hand. In the center of the dashboard sits that iconic oval clock. In the old car it was analog. In this one it is a digital screen made by Sonu's favor, but it still has that blue clock face, and when you change drive modes, the clock changes too. It can show G-forces. It can show your battery percentage. It can even show a world clock if you are traveling. Technology is everywhere, but it is hidden. There are 3 screens, but they are not just glued on. The driver gets a 12.3-inch curved OLED display that is fully customizable. You can have it show a classic Maserati speedometer or a full map with your energy consumption. The central 12.3-inch display runs Maserati's new MIA system, with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, ChatGPT integration, and over-the-air updates that actually improve the car over time. The passenger gets their own 8.8-inch screen where they can control music, navigation, and even watch YouTube when the car is parked. And then there's a 4th screen, an 8-inch touch panel at the bottom for climate and seat controls, with haptic feedback so you can use it without looking. And the sound, Maserati partnered again with Sony's Faber 21 speakers, 1280 watts, with speakers built into the headrest, so when you are on a phone call, only you can hear it. The rear seats are where the Quattroporte name earns its money. This is not a sports car with seats in the back. The wheelbase is almost 3.5 meters long, so there's limousine-level legroom. The rear seats are heated, ventilated, massaged, and they recline. There are 2 screens on the back of the front headrest and a central tablet to control everything. You can even order it as a 4-seat configuration with a full center console in the back with a champagne cooler, because Maserati knows that in markets like China, Pakistan, Dubai, this car will be chauffeur-driven. But enough about luxury. Let's talk about what happens when you press that blue start button on the steering wheel. Silence at first, then a deep, low hum that vibrates through the whole body. Maserati worked with composer and with their engineers from the Formula E team to create a unique Folgore sound. It is not fake V8 noise. It is something entirely new, like the sound of electricity itself, and it gets louder and higher pitch as you go faster. Under the floor is a 118 kilowatt lithium-ion battery pack with 800-volt technology. That is massive, bigger than a Taycan, bigger than an EQS. Maserati is claiming a WLTP range of over 610 kilometers and a real-world range of over 500 kilometers even if you drive it hard. And because it is 800 volts, it can charge at up to 270 kilowatts on a DC fast charger. That means you plug in, go for a coffee for 15 minutes, and you add 350 kilometers of range. At home on an 11 kilowatt AC charger, it will fully charge overnight. And the power. This is not a single-motor eco car. This is a tri-motor monster. 1 motor on the front axle, 250 horsepower, and 2 independent motors on the rear axle, 300 horsepower each. Combined, Maserati is targeting 760 horsepower and over 1350 newton-meters of instant torque. That means 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.1 seconds. 0 to 200 in under 10 seconds. And it keeps pulling, because electric motors don't run out of breath. Top speed is limited to 310 kilometers per hour, which will make it the fastest electric saloon you can buy, faster than the Taycan Turbo GT, faster than the Lucid Air Sapphire in top speed. But numbers are boring. What matters is how it feels. Because of those 2 rear motors, it is true torque vectoring. In a corner, the car can send 100% of the rear power to the outside wheel. It literally rotates around you. Maserati's Skyhook adaptive air suspension reads a road 100 times per second. It can lower the car by 20 millimeters at high speed for aerodynamics, or raise it by 30 millimeters if the road is bad. And the steering. Maserati refused to make it over-assisted like other EVs. It is still hydraulic feel electric steering. Heavy, precise, full of feedback. You have 4 driving modes. GT mode is for the city, soft suspension, quiet, maximum regeneration. It feels like a floating luxury lounge. Sport mode tightens everything, lowers the car, turns up the sound, and gives you 80% of the power. Corsa mode, that is a track mode, it drops the car to its lowest, stiffens the dampers to their hardest, turns off traction control halfway, and gives you the full 760 horsepower with launch control that will pin your head to the headrest. And then there is max range mode, which limits you to 100 kilowatts of power, turns off climate, and squeezes every last kilometer to get you home. So who will buy it? This car will not be cheap. Early leaks from Italy say it will start at around $155,000 in Europe and go up to $190,000 for the fully loaded Chauffeur version. That puts it right between the Porsche Taycan Turbo and the Mercedes EQS 580, but above the BMW i7. It is for the person who already has a Range Rover and a Porsche and wants something with soul. For the CEO in Islamabad or Lahore who wants to be driven in silence but still wants to feel like he owns a Maserati. And the timing is interesting, because Maserati has actually delayed this car. It was supposed to come in 2025, then 2027. Now the official company line is 2028 for global deliveries. But the prototypes are already testing on the roads around Modena, and what you see here is almost production ready. So if you are waiting for it, your wait is almost over. At the end of the day, the 2027 Maserati Quattroporte EV Folgore is trying to do something no one else has done. It is trying to make electric feel emotional again. It is not trying to be the car with the biggest screen or the most autonomous features. It is trying to be the car that makes you look back at it after you park it. And in a world full of identical electric sedans that all look like they were designed by the same computer, maybe that is exactly what we need. Maybe silence can be more exciting than noise. If you enjoyed this deep dive, tell me in the comments what you think. Would you take this over Taycan or an EQS? And what color would you spec? This Blue Nobile or the classic Nero? And if you want me to create a full side-by-side comparison video script for Quattroporte Folgore versus the all-new BMW i7 and the Lucid Air, just say the word. I have all the specs ready. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because as soon as Maserati releases the official configurator, we will be building our dream spec right here on this channel.